Okay, so let's talk about chapter 9, the very beginning of chapter 9. And you already know how to do all of this. Okay, so to solve quadratics, that means to figure out where it hits the x-axis. Okay, so if you're going to solve it, the only way you guys know how to separate out an x into an x and an x is by creating those binomials that you actually multiplied to get to that x squared. Okay, so that's factoring. All right, so let's go through. I'm going to go through and do a bunch of these right now. And let's see how many we can get done. So this one, no coefficient, already set equal to 0. Let's go ahead and factor it. X and X, because there's no coefficient. The factors of 24 that add to 11 are 8 and 3. Cool, both signs positive. So all you do after this step is you separate them out equal to 0. Whoops, I forgot the equal sign. That is called the zero product property. Okay, and that states that if it's equal to 0, you're finding zeros. So set each individual piece equal to 0. So that's the zero product property. Okay, so here the solution would be -8. Here the solution would be -3. And yes, I do want you to always draw me a junky, crappy parabola. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go, crappy parabola, done. Okay, number 4, I have an x squared. I need to figure out how to separate it into x and x. And to do that, I factor it. Okay, you're going to learn a lot of different ways to do this, but this is actually the fastest way. So no coefficient, factors of 27 that add to 6. I think of 9 and 3 first. Make sure you get your signs correct. The 9 would have to be positive. The 3 would have to be negative. Okay, and then the zero product property lets us do x plus 9 equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. That solution would be -9, and that solution would be +3. Okay, so bam, 3, -9, crappy parabola, draw it. Okay, all right, number 6. What factors of 20 add to -1? Okay, so as this is, I can't solve it. I have to break it down into its factors. Okay, so that's splitting the x squared into x and x. Okay, so I know my factors of 20 that are close together, like 1 unit away, are 5 and 4. Subtract 5, add 4 to get -1. Okay, so zero product property again lets us set those equal to 0. X equals 5, x equals -4. Okay, so I want to show you something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why I did it so neatly, that one. Okay, so it's kind of cool because if they tell you that the solutions, like let's say I told you that the solutions were x equals 5 and x equals -4, you could actually say, well, that came from -5 and that came from +4. So I actually could give you the trinomial that it came from. X times x is x squared. 4 minus 5 is -x, -1x, -20. And you could actually write the quadratic equation, an example of a quadratic equation for somebody. We will be talking about that a lot. Okay? All right, number 8. Factors of 16 that add to 8. Definitely 4 and 4. Definitely both negative. And if you notice, you have the same binomial that you're setting equal to 0 twice. Not a big deal. X equals 4 or x equals 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It just sits there. It just sits on the x-axis. Okay? All right, so if you needed to pause your video, pause it, go back, review these. These are just basic reverse foiling. Okay? This one, we have to take out a GCF of 3x first. Let's see what we're left over with. So when I take out 3x, I have to multiply by x plus 5 right there. So that looks a little bit different because this is a monomial times a binomial. Not a big deal. You still need to separate it out. So I'm going to take this and set it equal to 0, and this one and set it equal to 0. Now, because this has an x value, this actually has to be solved. Okay, so if you divide by 3 and divide by 3, x just equals 0 right there. But 0 is a number. So check it out. It hits right there at 0. Okay, and then this one hits at -5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. So whenever you have to factor out a variable and a number, but a variable, you still have to set just that monomial equal to 0 as well. Okay, let's go to the back side. Okay, so let's do another one like that. So number 12, let's do another one like that. So I'm going to take out 2x. So that would be 4x minus 3 equals 0. So I had a GCF of 2x. Okay, do I just put that out front and leave it there? No, I have to set it equal to 0, and I have to set the second one equal to 0. Now this one's easy to solve because divided by 2 doesn't do anything. But this one you have a little bit more work. Okay, so make sure you add 3, 4x equals 3, and then divide by 4, and x equals 3/4. Okay, so make sure you do that work right there, always doing the opposite operations. So this one actually hits at 0. Here's 1, 3/4 of the way. Bam, crappy parabola. Okay, so let's look at number 14. Difference of squares now. Okay, well, you know a difference of squares is just x plus 5 and x minus 5. Square root, square root. So this one, this solution would be a -5. This one right here set equal to 0. The solution of this one would be +5. So it's cool because whenever you have a difference of squares, it's like symmetrical. It hits at 5 and -5. Bam, it's symmetrical around the origin. There you go. Okay, number 16. No GCF. Nope, no GCF at all. So I'm going to break it down. It's a difference of squares. So 3x and 7 and 3x and 7 plus and minus. Okay, so let's use the zero product property. Set those equal to 0. So this one you're going to subtract 7. This one you're going to add 7. Okay, so divide by 3 and divide by 3, right? X equals -7/3. This one divide by 3, x equals 7/3. Okay, so this one hits at -7/3 and 7/3. All right, so let's talk about ones that are not in standard form. So in standard form, I mean ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay, highest to lowest exponents. So it has to be set equal to 0, and it has to be in standard form. So this is definitely not. So here's your balance. Subtract your 4x. And put these in order on this side. So x squared minus 4x minus 45 equals 0. So you have to put those in standard form on that side. Okay? All right. Now, all you have to do now is factor this. So what factors of 45 do you think of that add to 4? 9 and 5. Subtract 9, add 5. Okay, so x minus 9 equals 0 and x plus 5 equals 0. I think you know the drill now. X equals +9, x equals -5, and you can draw a crappy parabola, -5, 9. Totally crappy, but you get the gist. Okay, so number 20, get it in standard form. Subtract 4x, and at the same time, I'm actually going to subtract 1 and subtract 1. Do you guys see that? So I'm subtracting 4x and subtracting 1 at the same time and just lining it up over here. So x squared minus 14x plus 48 equals 0. Okay, so feel free to move two things at once if you feel comfortable. All right, now we just factor it. So I've got x and x. 6 and 8 make 48 multiplied and adding, so subtract and subtract. Okay, so x minus 6 equals 0, x minus 8 equals 0, zero product property, x equals 6, x equals 8, both positive. Final solutions, 6, 8, bam, boop, parabola. All right, hopefully you're doing these as quickly as I am. Right here, Subtract x squared, subtract 8x. Subtract x squared, subtract 8x. Here's my balance. Let's see what we've got here. So that whole side is 0. Let's combine like terms right here. So 11x squared minus x squared is 10x squared, and then minus 8x has no like terms. Okay, and I put them in standard form. Okay, let's take out the GCF. That would be 2 and an x. So I get 5x minus 4. Cool, I know I took out the GCF because there's no factors left in 5 and 4. Now, what do I do with the 2x? Good. Set them both equal to 0. We know that this one is a 0, and this one I have to solve. 5x equals 4, divided by 5, x equals 4/5. Okay, let's skip the parabola on that one. All right, what do I do here? Set it equal to 0. Subtract 9. Not like terms. 16x squared minus 9 equals 0. Factor it. 4x plus 3, 4x minus 3 equals 0. So set them equal to 0 by the zero product property. And I get subtract 3, divide by 4. I get negative 3/4. Here I would add 3, divide by 4. Here I get positive 3/4. Okay, so you could draw your crappy parabola, but I think you've got it. All right, so in factoring number 1, I want you to do all of the odd problems and let me know how you do.